One of the exciting areas is ML operations, or ML ops. Today, we're going to get into the details. Hi, I'm Peter Nickel, Data Science CIO. One of the exciting areas of data science is understanding models, and that starts with model ops, or model operations. Model operations includes everything that's required to orchestrate your AI pipeline. It starts off with areas of machine learning, knowledge graphs, charts, linguistics, rules, even knowledge agents. Model operations is the foundation, but ML ops, machine learning operations, is a subset of model ops. Machine learning operations has to do with the encapsulation and the monitoring of those different areas. And essentially, it's the technical requirements of what it takes to keep those models up and running. A challenge when we're trying to deal with models is, especially machine learning models, is that they're not explicit. They're not your classic business rules. They have implied inferences that evolve. The data learns on its own. So the biggest challenge is that these models degrade over time if they're not maintained, or they can be inaccurate very quickly if there's a pivot in the environmental situation. A good example is the coronavirus. What happened in the last year to a lot of the ML models is they became almost valueless in a matter of months. I'll give you one example. Let's just say we built a machine learning model and operationalized it using model ops and ML operations, ML ops. And as soon as the new environment wave spanned across the country, we had this model that previously was working great that was in the travel industry. And it took different components, travel, flight, room and board, and built a package based on target demographics and location and some geographic factors to determine the optimal price point. Well, just think of how quickly that model became invalid. Almost overnight, that model turned out to be roughly inaccurate, and as a result, probably didn't help promote the growth that it was intended to promote. And what that means is these models need to be tuned, and they need to be either adapted, but sometimes that adaptation takes some time and can be challenged. So as we're thinking about how to operationalize our environments, it's important to think about where these models live in terms of maintenance. So it's possible they live under the CIO, and maybe the CIO owns AI architects and other types of business architects, and that's a logical place. The ML operations also could live under a CTO. They might have accountability for compliance and some more internal type of targets that lend itself well to owning ML operations. And lastly, it might just live under some type of chief data officer. ML operations could be part of a digital transformation or other types of cloud first or move to the cloud initiative that helps orchestrate some of those technical pipelines. So as you're thinking about how to start and where to begin ML operations, allow me to provide a couple of pieces of insight. First, you got to find a leader and somebody who understands how to lead and what that really means. Second is you have to have a shared definition of what ML operations is and where it's going to live in your organization. Next, you need to find some candidates, some potentials to be able to experiment and provide some validation that the model is working. Then you need to have some way to evangelize it, a dashboard, a visual, some type of visualization that allows people to understand where you are in the life cycle of delivery and realization of that value for your ML ops initiative. And lastly, none of this stuff works perfectly the first time. You have to provide some feedback loops on how to learn and how to evolve. And that means collaborating cross-functionally and getting people involved that maybe aren't technical, but can provide some insight based on their business domain. So hopefully you have a better understanding of what ML ops is and how to operationalize it in your organization. Hi, I'm Peter Nickel, Data Science CIO. Have a great day.